6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pulling. So I want to make sure to get my keg smash on him right away, and then I'm going to roll into position for Thok. I want to position him as quickly as possible for obvious reasons. I don't want the raid getting hit by his frontal or by his tail while I'm positioning him. I want to make sure after that to keep my shuffle up right away. Now this fight is going to be a lot of red purifying just because of the mass damage intake. And I want to make sure that I'm on top for my elusive brew stacks as well. So as you can see, I'm purifying every red that I get. After that, Larold taunts at 2 stacks, so I'm going to use this opportunity to build up my shuffle timer a bit better. His AoE is not as dangerous when I'm tanking on the side, so I'm not going to focus too much on purifying my stagger until I have to taunt, which will be in about 5 seconds from now. And then I want to purify before I get onto Thok. And I also want to make sure that I build up my EB in the meantime. So there's the purify, taunting. And as soon as I taunt, I pop my EB. And I make sure that I keep an eye on my purify stack at all times. I'm also going to start at this point pooling 2 chi at all times to pop guard as needed, as emergency. So I'm going to guard there. I'm also going to purify that red stack. And once again, I'm going to get my EB back up. I'm also going to pop my rooks just to mitigate some of this AoE damage. And I want to make sure that I keep my shuffle timer up. It was getting a bit low because of all the purifying I'm doing. I'm going to pop my I'm going to pop my Schwen there as well. It's at fairly high vengeance. And it shall be maintained. Let's group up, guys. So I'm going to purify that red, and I'm going to be the one picking up the jailer since Larold will have fresh stacks coming out of the boss. Stop the healing. We're good, we're good. Let's get him up. Careful when you take that res. So I'm going to pop my EB on this jailer as I'm positioning it, even though it's not that dangerous when it's not enraged. However, at the time I still did have 2 debuff stacks from the boss. Larold's going to grab it for a bit of vengeance as well. He's building up his vengeance. I can see it in the bottom left. He's at 100k now. The jailer just enraged, so he's going to be building a bit of extra vengeance on him. I have about 8 seconds left on my vengeance at 230k. I'm in no rush to taunt this jailer right now. There's no point for me to do it. So I'm just going to ride out the rest of the vengeance, which is about the time he dies. I should have refreshed there last second just so I could help with a bit of range damage on Thok, but it's whatever. So I'm just going to help Crackling in the meantime. When it's at 11 stacks, I'm going to open the cage, and we will rinse, repeat everything in the new phase. So there's 9. I want to make sure I don't get eaten, obviously. 10, so I'm going to get ready to open the cage as soon as it hits 11. Opening. So I hit it. Now, Larold's going to be positioning the boss for between the imaginary line drawn between these 2 world markers. He will take 1 stack, after which I will taunt the boss and make sure it's facing towards red. The reason being that the melee is on the purple and we don't want them getting parried. So it will be reversed to start. Larold will grab it for the first stack. I want to make sure I start building up my shuffle right away, so that when I taunt, I have a shuffle stack. I want to make sure that I have some chi pooled up in my back pocket for purify and for guard as needed. So there's the breath, taunting.
That's the breath. I'll get next.
So I taunted. I'm going to position it just to make sure the ranged aren't breathed on. I'm going to position it also to make sure that the melee aren't getting parried. So here come the bats. I'm going to wait for my first stack. I'm also going to purify here just to go help on bats. So there's the bats. I'm going to help by getting a keg smash down and getting a fire breath of fire down. After which I get back on Thok. I purified because I wanted to make sure that while I was doing that, Thok and the bats that I pulled aggro on didn't accidentally kill me. After that, back to usual stuff. Back to usual stuff. Keep an eye on my stagger damage. Make sure that I'm keeping my shuffle up. I'm also going to dampen here because the raid is struggling with healing. As you can see, a couple people died there. And I didn't want to be an extra issue that tanks were dealing with healing. So we're going to stack here early because of the healing was a bit of an issue there. So I didn't get to use the rest of my cooldowns. I'm going to save my EB stacks for the jailer once we push through here.
Extend this as long as we can right here. But yeah.
So once Larold gets to 2 stacks, Tony. Larold just got to 2 stacks. It was a bit late, my bad. So I taunted there a bit too late. It got me and Larold reapplied for stacks. That's okay though because we're about to push the boss. So this phase, there it is. This phase won't go on too much longer. We will both be resetting our stacks in this phase. So I'm going to pop EB while this jailer's up. The reason being that obviously we both have stacks. Oh, Larold pulled aggro. The reason is we both have stacks right now. We don't want to be getting hit for ridiculous amounts of damage from the jailer while the healers are focusing on healing the rest of the raid. So I'm going to keep an eye on my vengeance. I have about 6 seconds left to 281k. There's no point taunting the jailer just yet. I will taunt in 2 seconds, though. Taunting just to refresh my Vengeance, so there it is. Laryl's at 300k, so he can ride that Vengeance out for a while. And I will start building my Vengeance up while his fades. Pop my EB here, too. And I'm going to save the rest of the EB generation for when I taunt Thok. So Laryl's grabbed it back for some Vengeance.
You can just chain taunt.
That's fine, that's fine.
Oh,
So I'm going to wait to grab the key there, and I'm going to help with whatever shitty little range damage I can do on Thok.
Dispelling.
Which actually is not that bad, except now that my Vengeance is gone. So he's almost at 11 stacks. Opening. So I've opened that. Once again, we're going to position the boss in a similar fashion to what he was at the beginning of the fight, between or next to blue and green. He's going to be reversed though, so I'll need to taunt him from the opposite angle. Drag him with his head towards green. So I'm going to taunt him, make sure I get my shuffle up as I do it. Then I'm going to get him in position. And wait for that first breath. As soon as he hits the first breath, I'm going to spin him with his head through the raid. So there's the breath. Because I don't want him tail whipping the raid by accident, and I know he just breathed, so he's not going to breathe again on the raid. Now, here guard priority is going to change a bit. So third stack's about... No, I need to taunt it first. So I'm going to guard for the third stack. Laryl's going to taunt right after that. Stacks are applied every 8 to 10 seconds in this phase, so there's the taunt from Laryl. During this phase, I'm going to wait for my EB to build up, which is already maxed out. I'm also going to use my Schwen, which I should have saved for my second tank rotation. However, I have a feeling that we're going to be grouping up momentarily anyway, so I wanted to use it now when I had time to use it. Once Laryl is at 4 stacks, I will be taunting Thok. I want to make sure that my shuffle's up. I want to make sure I don't have any heavy staggered damage. Taunting. And when I taunt, I want to get my EB up right away. Keep an eye on my staggered damage. I'm also going to dampen here. Obviously, there's quite a bit of heavy damage coming in on the raid. I also have a PS that was just used on me. Once that PS wears off, I'm going to use Rook's Trinket. So there's Rooks. I'm also going to use a guard for 1.2 million at that point. Once that guard wears off, I want to make sure that guard's not clipped by my stagger. Get my EB back up because it's sitting at 15 stacks. I should have done that a bit earlier. And once that's over, I'm going to... Once the dampen is done, it had 1 stack. It's about to be eaten. I'm going to purify... Or, purify. I'm going to Fort Brew. And then Laryl will taunt, and the boss should be dead by the time I will need to taunt again, which is why I front-loaded my CDs towards the end of that rotation. So we've pushed through. Laryl's got the Jailer. I'm just going to help with range damage to finish the boss off. And that's it.
Got like every single one.
Did I want to roll on this? Because I think really I need on this. I'm actually going to save my coin, ironically.
so glad I didn't pay 200k for that last CDKP. I'm glad you bid him up that high though.
My damage actually was not bad at all. Obviously, could have been way better with Vengeance Whoring in Phase 1, but considering the fact, that was not.
200k for a ring? Like, it was Incendio, that's why.
You just saw it, yuck.
Well, I mean, it was also Aang's.
I can't roll for the trinket, unfortunately, so if it drops, I will be definitely asking for it.
Like Incendio, not
No, I definitely did not glyph guard for Thok. The only effective guard it would have would be mostly...
even like
I don't know, 3-piece. The only effective guard that it would provide would be mostly for the Frost phase, and it would be null for the rest of the fight, so definitely not glyphing guard.